station had no name on the map anymore, people still found it, not by directions, not by accident, but by something quieter, like being remembered by a place you've never been. It sat at the edge of a forgotten rail line, swallowed by vines and silence. No ticket booth, no working lights, just one rusted sign that creaked when the wind passed, as if trying to whisper a warning it had long forgotten how to say. The trains still stopped there. That was the first thing people noticed. No schedule listed it. No conductor announced it. But sometimes, late at night, when the world felt thin and stretched, a train would slow down, just enough for the doors to slide open. And if you stepped off, you wouldn't come back the same, or at all. They say the ghost was once a woman. No one agrees on her name. Some say Alina, others say Mara. A few insist she never had a name, that she arrived already lost, like a story missing its first page. But everyone agrees on this. She was waiting, always waiting. Passengers who ended up at the station would first notice the cold. Not the kind that bites your skin, but the kind that sinks into your bones like a memory you wish you could forget. The air smelled faintly of iron and something older. Then they'd hear it. Footsteps, soft, measured, coming from the far end of the platform, where the light never quite reached. If you stayed still, the footsteps stopped. If you moved, they followed. Some tried to run back onto the train, but the doors would already be closed. The windows black, the inside empty, as if the train had decided it no longer remembered them. And that's when she would appear. At first, just a shape, a silhouette against the dim flicker of a dying lamp. Then clearer, a woman in an old conductor's uniform, though the fabric hung wrong, like it had been soaked and dried too many times. Her face was pale, almost featureless at a distance, but her eyes were always open, too open, like she had forgotten how to blink. She never spoke, not at first. Instead, she would tilt her head slightly, studying whoever stood before her, as if trying to recognize something or someone. Then she would raise one hand and point, not at the person, but at the tracks. And that was the moment everything changed, because the tracks weren't empty anymore. People who looked down would see shadows moving beneath the rails, shapes writhing, stretching, reaching upward as if trying to break through. And if you listened closely, you could hear them, whispers layered on whispers, all overlapping, all desperate. Help me. Don't look at her. Run. I waited too long. That's when panic would set in. Some would scream, some would freeze, some would beg. But the woman never reacted. She would just keep pointing, waiting, and eventually something would pull. Witnesses, those rare few who managed to escape, described it as invisible hands, gripping their ankles, their wrists, dragging them toward the tracks with slow, deliberate force. The ground felt soft there, too soft, like stepping onto something that could give way at any moment. And if you fell, if even a part of you touched the rails, you would feel it. Dozens of hands wrapping around you. Cold, desperate, unyielding. Pulling you down into the darkness beneath, where the whispers became screams. No one who was pulled under ever came back, except once, a man named Victor. He was found wandering near the edge of the city, barefoot, covered in dirt and dried blood. He kept repeating the same phrase over and over. She wasn't hunting us. At first, no one believed him. Trauma does strange things to the mind. It twists memories, reshapes reality into something easier to survive. But Victor insisted. She wasn't hunting us, he said again, his voice hollow. She was choosing. That caught people's attention. Choosing who? Victor's eyes would dart around the room whenever someone asked, as if expecting to see the station creeping into the corners. She only takes the ones who don't remember, he whispered. No one understood what he meant until he explained. When I saw her, I thought she was the ghost, he said, but she was. He described the moment she pointed at the tracks, the shadows beneath, the hands reaching up. I almost fell, he said. I felt them grab me. I thought it was over. But then she looked at me. Not through him. At him. And she stepped closer. Victor said that was when he finally saw her face clearly. Not blank. Not monstrous. But sad. She touched my forehead, he said, his voice trembling. And suddenly I remembered. Remembered what? That I had been there before. The room fell silent when he said that. Victor claimed he had visited the station as a child. That his father had taken him there during a late-night trip. He remembered getting off the train just for a moment, just to stretch his legs. He remembered seeing the woman, and he remembered his father pulling him away before she could point. I forgot, Victor said. All these years I forgot. But the station hadn't. She doesn't hunt people, he continued. She waits for the ones who have been there and forgotten. The realization sent a chill through everyone listening. Because if that was true, then the station wasn't random. It was patient. Victor said that when the woman touched him, the hands pulling him down suddenly stopped. The whispers changed. They weren't desperate anymore. They were angry. You remembered, they hissed. And then they let him go. The woman lowered her hand. For the first time, she spoke. Her voice was barely more than a breath. Not yet. Then the train doors opened behind him, and he ran. He never went near a train again. But the story didn't end there, because a few weeks later, something strange started happening across the city. People began reporting dreams. Not nightmares, memories. They would dream of the station, of stepping off a train they didn't remember boarding, of seeing the woman at the end of the platform. And in every dream, she was closer, each time, closer. Some would wake up just before she reached them. Others didn't wake up at all. Authorities dismissed it as mass hysteria. A viral story spreading fear through suggestion. But then the disappearances started. Not random people, specific ones. People who, when investigated, all had one thing in common. At some point in their lives, they had taken a train ride that didn't quite add up. A missing hour, a forgotten stop, a gap in memory they could never explain. The pattern became impossible to ignore. The station was calling them back, one by one. And then came the final twist. A researcher named Elena decided to track the phenomenon. She gathered reports, mapped disappearances, studied railway archives that dated back decades. What she found was worse than anyone expected. The station had existed long before the ghost, before the railways, before the city itself. Old records spoke of a place where travelers would vanish. A crossing point between paths, where something beneath the ground waited. The rails hadn't created it. They had simply made it easier to reach. And the woman, she wasn't the ghost haunting the station. She was the last conductor. Elena uncovered a fragmented report from nearly a century ago. A train derailment near the area. Dozens dead. Bodies never fully recovered. Among them was a conductor who had tried to evacuate passengers before the crash. Her name, Elena, according to the report. She had gone back into the train again and again, pulling people out. The tracks collapsed, swallowing her, swallowing everything. Elena realized the truth too late. The shadows beneath the rails weren't just victims. They were something older, something that had learned to take, to consume, to remember. And Elena, she wasn't leading people to their deaths. She was holding it back, choosing who it could take, limiting it, containing it. But every time someone forgot their first encounter with the station, they became eligible again. A loophole, a crack in the barrier she was trying to maintain. And now too many had forgotten. The final entry in Elena's research was a voice recording. Static fills the first few seconds. Then her voice, shaky but controlled. I found the station. A distant sound echoes through the recording. Footsteps, slow, measured. I thought the stories were exaggerated, she continues. They're not. The footsteps get louder. There's someone here. A pause, then quieter. She's looking at me. The recording distorts slightly, as if the air itself is interfering. I remember, Elena says suddenly, her tone shifting. I remember being here when I was little, my mother. Her voice cuts off. Silence, then a whisper. Not Elena's. Not yet. The recording ends. Elena was never found. But sometimes, late at night, when a train slows down where it shouldn't, passengers swear they see two figures at the end of the platform now. One standing still, and one just arriving, waiting, always waiting, for the next person who has forgotten.